Have you seen Anna Kasparian's tweet? I'm curious. Your opinion. What your opinion is? It seems complicated. Yeah, I did. I did see Anna Kasparian's tweet. I talked about it yesterday. When she first popped off. And it's not... It's one of those things where it's like... I think Juniper said it best. Instead of Anna's tweet, I'll just tell you what Juniper said. Which is perfect. You know what I mean? It's Anna is not wrong, right? Like, she's not. But it's inherently a right-wing talking point because it's not a real issue. It's what you do with incorrect, or it's what you do with like a statement, or how you push a certain statement that matters, or how you do it. Like, for example, when someone says a trans woman can have an advantage, a physical advantage in athletic competition, this statement in and of itself is not incorrect. A trans woman absolutely can have a biological advantage over a cis woman. Yes, of course. But if you make that the heart of your argument and talk about how unfair it is and how it's ridiculous, then all of a sudden you're just doing the bidding of the right for no reason, because this is a culture war issue. Right? She's absolutely wrong. She spewed some right-wing reactionary bullshit, and now a bunch of TERFs and nonsense are praising her and pushing it all over Twitter. Yes, I know. I saw. It's like it's interesting to think, because it's like I said, you're not completely incorrect with your sentiment. I have said something similar to that, where I think that like outside of like hyper specific scenarios, the notion that like people should be reduced to their reproductive capabilities or whatever organs they have is silly, right? But also, no one does that. It's not a real thing. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like a hyper-specific and overly dramatized, idiotic fucking talking point that right-wingers constantly harp on. Do you understand? Anna came out of the gate swinging. When we first looked at this, it had like 2,000 likes, but of course it's blown the fuck up since then with 102,000 likes. Anna says, I'm a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or a person who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this shit. Now, do I think Anna is transphobic? No. Do I think Anna doesn't fight for trans rights? Of course she fights for trans rights. So does Cenk. The Young Turks have been a long supporter of all marginalized groups, including trans people. Do you understand? I mean, are they... Someone said, what about homeless? Okay, well, I won't go that far. I think that they have gone a bit astray in their advocacy for, criminalizing the homeless and things of that nature. Yes, that part I do agree with you on. But as far as I've seen it, no, not with like trans issues. I think they're pretty decent on trans issues. Does that make sense? The homelessness one, no, they're a bit reactionary, I will say. If I with their advocacy for the carceral state, it's not great. Anyway, but does that make sense when I say like in a vacuum, this sentiment itself is not like incorrect, nor is it a conversation that given if the right words were utilized, anyone would consider objectionable, right? Even inside of like trans circles, I would say. But when you say it this way, as though it's a real problem, it's immediately weaponized by right wingers, because it's not a real issue, but the right love turning not real issues into supposedly very real issues by manufacturing outrage around them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's far less degrading than all the misogynistic assholes that call asshole men that call women females. At least one term recognizes their personhood and humanity. She's mad over medical terms. So fucking stupid. It's kind of transphobic, to be honest, even if she doesn't recognize it. And your uncle has been vehemently defending her. That only caters to the worst people. Yeah, of course Cenk is defending her. I don't even think Cenk disagrees with her, because I don't think this sentiment expressed is like is the attitude is wrong. But like I said, in a vacuum, it's not like an unreasonable thing to state. It's just that it's not an issue. So why would you ever bring it up? Why would you ever talk about it? Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand? I'm being very careful and trying to use as precise wording as possible. Like even Juniper's criticism here, which is what I love. Like I like this. I brought it up yesterday. Also understands it, right? So funny for someone to witness the trans moral panic, the calls for our eradication in public, the banning of trans medical care in multiple states, yet decide to make everything about how the 14 libbed up academics who use these silly phrases bother you so much. Notice how she also said these are silly phrases only utilized by 14 libbed up academics. Because that's true. It's one of those like Latinx style movements, right? But outside of like a conversation that directly pertains to someone trying to check me and be like, you have to use Latinx or whatever the fuck, you're not going to see me make that my political statement, my outward political statement that like, no, I will never say Latinx. You know what I mean? Like it's stupid. It's a stupid thing to consistently talk about. You feel me? Now, of course, Ben Shapiro retweeted it. Carrie Lake responded to it. It was bad. It was so bad. I've never heard anyone refer to themselves or someone else with those terms that happen. And what is the reason? It does not happen. No, it's not a thing. Okay? Like, it's like right-wingers talking about like every now and then. I talked about this yesterday as well, but I'm repeating myself. It's like when the Daily Mail, the Daily Turf Mail, fucking writes an article about like the one trans couple that fucking had a child. You know what I mean? A trans man and a trans woman and a fucking child. Look at how fucking crazy this is, right? Like they write an article about it and then everyone on the right-wing circuits go, that's fucking crazy. And it's like, dude, you quite literally have to get off the juice to be able to perform these functions. Like, it's not, that doesn't take away your, transness, obviously. Or that doesn't make you any less male or female. But the point is like, it's not. It's like literally such a insanely marginal, unique circumstance that is not even in any way, shape, or form tangentially related to trans existence and allowing trans people to fucking live freely in society, right? That like making a big deal about it is insane. And it is literally implicating here that men can't ever menstruate here too. I guess she's saying that only women can have a uterus or only women can give birth. I don't think she believes that. I think that is our assessment. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think she's saying that at all. I think she's saying that it's like almost dehumanizing to refer to someone by their reproductive organs or anything other than that. Like like just their reproductive organs or their capabilities, right? That's it. That's all she's trying to say, but she's saying it in a very spicy way, and she's going to get a lot of clout from the worst possible people. Does that make sense? Not to say that like these terms don't have use. They do. But those usage the usage for these terms are hyper specific medical scenarios where like an incredibly marginal, like incredibly tiny fraction of society will make use of it, right? And it's affirming, and that's good. But no one in the real world is like, you're calling yourself a woman? Shut the fuck up. That's so bigoted. You're a birthing person. Like, that's not a thing. And you want to know how it's not a thing? Because the right obsessively tried to make it a thing. That's why Ben Shapiro tweets every fucking Mother's Day, Happy Birthing Person Day. Because the one thing right-wingers love doing is painting a cartoonish depiction of reality by hysterical radlibs, right? And then when they can't actually find this cartoonish reality happening in the real world, they'll just become the example themselves. They'll just do it anyway. It's the guy who is like very clearly not trans going and competing in female weightlifting competitions, right? And then being like, look how easily I won this. I'm trans, lol. I'm no longer trans, lol. It's like, that's literally what they claim people are going to do. That's why they're terrified of trans women competing in competition. But because that never fucking happens, they have to make it seem like they're doing it. It's like trans people are disingenuously trying to claim that they're trans to win athletic endeavors is not a real thing. No one has ever done that, right? It's a thing in their minds. Like the top of the hour ad break is real, okay? It's not a thing in your mind. There's a real top of the hour ad break that comes at the top of every hour. It's 3 minutes long, and you can avoid it. You can make it go away by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. You could use it on your favorite broadcaster, okay? Or you can get gifted a sub, Nanosecond Gaming and Pizza Hut 233. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, allowing 10 people total to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here is the 3-minute ad break now. That was a real slice of life segue. Thank you. Okay, but like isn't Anna doing the same thing? She's also making it seem like using the term birthing person or whatever is normal when it definitely is not. Yes, that's why I'm saying she's wrong. In a vacuum, having a conversation about this would not be incorrect. Having an opinion on this would not be incorrect. The sentiment that she's expressing is what makes it incorrect, because it's not a real thing that is happening in the real world. Does that make sense? Replay it back. Thank you for the 10 tier 1 gifted subs. Anna did the same shit last year. Yeah, I think this is, Anna really didn't like that birthing people segment you and Jank did. I don't think you guys are transphobic, but I thought it was insensitive and weirdly reactionary. I think it's messed up to tell people, especially people who respect the trans community and will use desired pronouns, that they don't get to be referred to as mothers. I'm not a mother, but I know women take a lot of pride in being moms. It's the hardest job in the world. Like, I don't think this is... Like, I don't know why this is like a thing. Like, it's not a thing. I guarantee none or almost any of us in the chat ever heard birthing person in real life. Many of us are probably have trans friends. Yes, I have never encountered a Latinx, or I've never encountered a birthing person. It's even less likely. Like, at least, Amy Goodman says Latinx, you know what I mean? And she's my goat. She's my queen. So I appreciate it, and I get it, go off, queen. I love you. You can do no wrong, right? But I don't think I've ever heard fucking Amy Goodman even say birthing person. You never encountered Latinx? No. I do see. I mean, I sometimes see it in like hyper lived up spaces and shit, and the media, or like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or whatever. Like you'll hear it in like academic circles. But like ultimately in the fucking real world, nobody's like utilizing it. I've encountered Latinx because they did a lot of radical organizing for immigrants out here in the Philly area, but these were hardcore activists. Yeah. Jank fell for a psyop of a fake fan of yours. Yeah, I don't think it's real. That's like, the Humanist Report responded to Anna said, I respect you a lot, but this notion that the mere existence of trans-inclusive terms rarely used in casual convo somehow degrades women comes right out of the right's anti-trans woman's playbook. War on Women playbook. There's a reason why they're praising you for this. Hey, Mike, you're the guy who has no clue what it's like to have your reproductive freedom taken away, but consider what it's like to have the same lawmakers who failed to protect our rights turn around and call us people with uteruses. It's not inclusive if cis women hate it. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. It just like feels so turfy. So I understand why trans people would look at that and go, oh, dude, she's going down the turf pipeline. You know what I mean? Would Anna prefer all legislation to be like women with uteruses, men with uteruses? No, dude. You're misunderstanding. No. That's not what she's saying at all. She's not saying that at all. What the fuck? Guys. She's saying that like this level of like if anything, she's saying the exact opposite of what your assessment is. She's saying the opposite. She's like just use like, just use contextual like use the same context clues that you would normally use. But ultimately, it's not real. It's not a real thing, so it doesn't even matter. Like it's just like an incredibly silly thing to hyper focus on either way. Anyway, let's continue. So getting back to the situation at hand, which is leftist people's business, which is also a minefield in general, but one that I am much more educated on and can speak on clearly. So Anna said this. Everyone on the right loved it. They loved it. It got 100,000 likes. It's like, dude, every day it feels like you say something that pops off on trans people. Like, it's just like easy clap. You're getting fucking, you're getting 100K likes minimum. It's like the Aiden Ross, like, there's only 2 genders tweet. You know what I mean? It's just, obviously this is nowhere near as bad as that, but given Anna's position as like a prominent female commentator, you know what I mean, in the leftist space, people loved it. Went crazy. Genuinely shame. When I was 15, it was a good gateway into the left, but it really seems like they're stuck in the past now. I don't even disagree with her. It's presumptive to identify a cis woman or even a trans man as person who menstruates. Aside from shit like menopause or health issues, birth control can also completely halt the menstrual cycle. Similar to a birthing person, is super dehumanizing language. It should pretty much be isolated to communication between a person and their healthcare provider. Yeah, no, that's what we. Yeah, that's why I said the concept that she's mentioning is not wrong. It's just that it is already super isolated, which is precisely the reason why bringing it to the fucking forefront, as though people are just like literally calling each other birthing persons, is basically caving in to the right-wing reactionary culture war narratives. I don't know, I guess, what do we call it? Trans men or AFAB non-binary people? It seems like you just did that. What? What? You just asked the question and then answered it. Wait, what? What do you mean? I don't know. You know what you call a trans man or an AFAB non-binary person? Whatever the fuck they want you to call them. What? That's it. Like, what? Their name? Like, what? And for the record, like, that's what everybody does already. Which is why it's, like, very weird for people to just be like, this is a big issue. A big deal. Yeah. Hi, Anna. No one has asked you to call yourself or be called anything other than a woman. Anatomy-oriented language is used in a clinical context where anatomy is relevant. This argument is like a mousetrap set up by TERFs. Please don't take the bait. That's a wonderful take from Matt. Michael Schellenberger, MD, says, no one. Biden admin replaces mothers with birthing people in maternal health guidance, which is, again, an example of anatomy-oriented language used in a clinical context, just as I stated above. Yeah. And then he just keeps going and utilizes the exact same shit. Cenk had a problem with this take, though, saying AOC used it outside of clinical settings. Yeah. Because, you know, she's a politician and she's trying to be as woke as possible. People say Latinx, too, every now and then. That doesn't... She says Latinx as well. I mean, she's Latina. But, like, who gives a fuck? Who cares? The politician. This is not a real person. Okay? Understand. This is not a real person. Yeah, it was in the context of a medical bill. That's precisely what it is. It's always in that context. Anyway, where the fuck was I? Oh, yeah. This was a good take on the matter, of course. Always. Olayemi has incredible takes on issues like this.
So I see the commentary going around with people being like, oh, I do support the trans community, but I don't want to be called a birthing person and a woman with a uterus and blah, 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 and I am a woman and yada, yada, yada. And my position on that is this. It's really simple. Listen, I don't think it's absurd.
Like, I'm going to pause this real quick. Sorry, because, of course, pausing a woman talking, clearly, misogyny. And state one other thing before we continue with this. People who are saying, like, oh, well, AOC used it outside of fucking... AOC didn't use it in a medical context, even though she was talking about, like, reproductive rights. So it is technically a medical context, right? If AOC had said woman, like I do, every fucking time I talk about, like, abortion rights or whatever... No one thinks I am transphobic, and no one's going to think AOC is transphobic if she had just said that. Okay? You can be, as, you know, you can be over the top polite or over the top inclusive. That doesn't make people who are not as more transphobic than the other. Okay? It's accommodation. That's it. It's just accommodation. And if you turn around and say, Hasan, that's not true. Random trans people on Twitter would call you transphobic. To that I say, who fucking cares? Not real. It's not a real thing. Okay? Yes, trans people are constantly under attack in the fucking real world. And for that reason, due to having to justify their existence every fucking day, and also not only feeling like they're under attack, but like actually experiencing that in the form of legislation passing everywhere, despite making a tiny fraction of society that has been left behind by liberals as well with no protection whatsoever. It's understandable that they are a little jumpy sometimes. Okay? But now you're just mansplaining? Yeah, of course I'm mansplaining. I'm a man and I explain things. Everything I do is mansplaining. It's kind of what I do. Anyway.
To want to just be called a woman, I guess. It doesn't bother me none to be called a cis woman or anything else, because they're clearly just identifying descriptors being used in particular contexts. I think the part that I think is ridiculous and needs to be acknowledged is no one is preventing cis women from calling ourselves women. Call myself a woman all the time. You call yourself a woman all the time. The existence of inclusive language that trans people use does not mean that we are being oppressed or not seen as women or prevented from being called women. More importantly, and I think this is really what my real gripe is, trans people are literally being used as a political pawn and distraction. That's true. That's just true. They keep coming up with these non-issues that don't exist in your real life. You've never been in your real life worried about whether or not children are seeing drag shows. You're not in your real life just being... People are not walking around calling you a birthing person. You're not going through it in your day-to-day.
Yeah, it's just like not a real thing. Now, that doesn't mean every now and then there isn't going to be some fucking goofy-ass motherfucker doing it, okay? It happens every now and then, but it's not like a common experience, not a real experience, okay? Sometimes people on the left do love behaving like the cartoonish depictions of the left. That doesn't change the reality that it is not a real concept. You're just singling out one fucking person. That's it.
About being called a cis woman. That is literally a right-wing agenda issue, a right-wing talking point, and like to me, leaning into their hysteria, like, ooh, trying to look for merit.
Get an opinion from a man who is trans. Whatever I want to hear from someone with a uterus, ask someone who's trans. I don't understand what you're saying. Language is important. Birthing parent. Okay. You literally first said wait, that's a, what? You need more black friends. Talk about it with a black person. Be charitable. Ay, 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 ay. Just stop. Stop, please. Stop. Please. I'm a trans person who works in a grocery store and a customer asked me about my genitals as I was ringing him out. That's fucking weird. I'm sorry that happened to you. Oh, yeah. Dude, this kind of take is such a funny one because it's literally like what first she goes, talk about it with a black person. Obviously, this is not an issue that pertains to like black people specifically, but I'm talking about I'm hearing from a friend of the show who is a black person, a black woman, says talk about it with someone with a uterus, a black woman with a uterus. Then goes talk about it with a trans man. Listen. My answer to you is no. Okay, if that signals bigotry to you, Sweaty, then yeah, I'm fucking bigoted, dog. I'm a bigot. I'm the worst bigot you ever seen. Like, I don't care. I'm not here to like fucking capitulate to like insanely hyper specific, hyper targeted demands made by a singular individual. You know what I mean? Shut up. Not within like my boundaries of reason. It's not something I can do.
In their arguments and making them is like, for what? Why do you need to come out and like be against inclusive language or find all these petty gripes with the trans community while they're literally under attack? Like, are there not more important things? They're literally trans people dying. They're trying to take away gender affirming care. They're doing all these different things. And you're really worried about being called a cis woman in the pronouns? Like, oh my God, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Personally, I've never referred to myself as a birthing person, a menstruating person, a person with a uterus. And I'm calling myself a cis woman in this conversation for the purposes of distinguishing myself from trans women in the conversation that we're having. You see how language is for particular purposes? You know what I mean? It doesn't take away me being a woman. I still call myself a woman any and every other time. But to help us further along in language and communication, I use something else. And notice how I didn't burst into flames.
More trans people experience transphobia on a daily basis than cis people have to listen to overly PC language. Yeah, no shit. No one is making that argument, though, I think, right? I mean, I guess you were just saying that in support of that. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, of course. Also, one is like actual transphobia. The other is just like, at most, a nuisance. Okay? Transphobia is not a nuisance. It's genuinely harmful, demonstrably harmful, can lead to violence, can justify said violence. It's dehumanization of an entire marginalized group of individuals. The other is, they backtracking? Oh my God. Yeah, I'm backtracking into the position that I have had from the start of this conversation.
Didn't suffer, but you know who are? The trans community that are under attack all over the country. Maybe focus on that.
Anyway, so yeah.
So
That's my take. And then, of course, the most predictable thing that could have ever happened. Not bigoted, just one-sided. You have blind spots. Yeah, I'm one-sided. But it's your side, dumbass. Like, that's the point. You're just fucking annoying. That's the only difference here. Like, I am one-sided. I'm biased. I'm biased towards your position. Oleemi explained it really well, but what Anna said doesn't conflict with what Oleemi said at all. Exactly. But the reason why she said what she said, and notice how I also said similar things as far as like reducing people to their sexual reproductive capabilities or an organ as a means of like contextualizing things come across as dehumanizing, because in a lot of instances it's hyper specific and it's only adequate in a medical context, which is precisely the reason why no one fucking uses it in the goddamn real world, which is precisely why making it seem like people are calling you that in the real world is silly. That's the point. We are all in agreement ultimately, but if Anna had said something like that, most people would not be fucking yelling at her. You get it? And if you're saying AOC uses it, AOC's talking about reproductive rights in a medical context and is being as inclusive as possible. Okay? Now the other side, please. What do you mean? What other side? The other side is just not a real thing. The other side is what? What do you want me to say? That like trans people aren't under attack. As a matter of fact, their very existence threatens the existence of Western supremacy, which is the dominant culture, and it should be that way because the Western culture has been the greatest gift to mankind. We've developed the modern world, shit like that. Is that what you want me to say? He's like, bro, come on, just be a fascist for a second. You know what I mean? Just to make me feel good. Yeah, I can do right-wing arguments better than any right-wing motherfucker you've ever seen in your entire life. Doesn't take much. Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like saying trans rights are human rights versus no, they aren't. Both sides, please. Please, can you just do the both sides here? Like, what's the other side's argument? Can you steel man the opposition? Like, I can, but I'm not going to do it because it's stupid. It's like, hey, New York Times, can you please find one detransitioner who is anti-trans, please, and then write 100 articles on them, because that'll make me feel like there's this, there's this like false equivalence, or there is this like false balance that you've crafted. You don't have that energy for vaccines. Why the fuck do you have it for trans people? No one's... The people that are like, New York Times is not actually covering enough anti-vaccine sentiment because it's not shared by the scientific community, is never a fucking argument that like a serious person makes. They're like weird, unhinged right-wing losers who say shit like that. Okay? But it is totally accepted by the broader population, liberals included, to say that exact same thing about trans people. The scientific community's consensus on the matter is pretty easy to understand. And yet, for some weird fucking reason, and that weird reason is transphobia and how normative it is, okay, how normalized it is, how important the false understanding of the rigid gender binary is to our identities. That is what guides most people to be transphobic, including trans people originally, like that have plenty of internalized transphobia. Okay? That's the reason why the New York Times can write shit like that. So, Jank said, if you think I'm going to tell my female co-host what she can call herself or what words she's allowed to use, you're nuts, and you don't know me at all. We do something radical at TYT. We let everyone have their own opinion. I know this is a novel concept in the media. Yeah. To be fair, he did say this exact same thing about me as well at the time when people were yelling at him, even though it is a funny meme. Where is Jank? Oh, he also, this guy is like very clearly a fucking deranged hater. Here's something everyone on the left and right should know. At the Young Turks, we don't get bullied. We love you all and we'll fight for you, but we're not going to change our mind because you think our opinion is incorrect or because you yelled at us. Never going to happen. Okay, this is an unhinged, deranged, like psychotic hate watcher follower, most likely. Let's take a look. Primarily on sports Twitter. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, he's like not even against the concept. He said, and have been based since day one. Yep, there you go. Yeah, he loves it. He loves this shit. He's just trying to do drama. That's it. What is this? Respond
This
to this
person
when you feel
is going
like it.
viral.
TikToker has insane racist meltdown. Is it an anti-white racist meltdown? Is that what we're doing? Are we doing anti-white racism? Anyway, I like this. I thought it was a funny joke. Anyway, Jank is such a fucking boomer that like he of course responded to some random deranged psychotic hate watcher. He said, he has my number. My favorite are these bitch moves where people ask others to correct us. Are you complaining to the manager, Karen? I got news for you. I am the manager. Too much uncle posting, man. That's funny. Yeah. I am the manager. I love that. That's cute. But yeah, everyone's yelling. Everyone's yelling. The right wing is loving this, of course, because it's like some progressive infighting there. But it doesn't matter. For people who are saying like TYT fell off or they suck or whatever, you can hold that opinion if you want. Do I personally think that they're going to stop advocating for trans issues? Of course not. Of course not. Just like I didn't stop advocating for trans issues after the Hogwarts Legacy shit where everybody was yelling at me. It doesn't matter. It's just like dumb fucking Twitter chirping. Who gives a shit? They serve a different audience of older people, older progressives. They do have some reactionary takes from time to time. I will agree, as it pertains to like homelessness, crime, that sort of thing. Like their immediate solution to that is like I definitely consider reactionary. But they got duped into advocating for like weird crime panic shit. Lol, you saying that while most of us grew up watching them when they began? Yeah, you're old. If you say things like, I grew up watching the Young Turks, you're old, especially by internet years. Did they get duped or are they like desperate for attention or something? Well, as someone who worked there and as someone who is literally fucking related to Jank, I can tell you that there is no like financial underpinning for how they triangulate their positions. No, they're genuine. There's no reason to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? If anything, they rein in takes like mine, as a matter of fact, like when I said what I said about 9/11. But other than that, it's just like, as long as you don't go down that route, that's it. I'm 24, bro. I grew up watching them. Don't call me old. You're old. I'm just kidding.